Hey everybody, welcome to Years of the Dragon. My name is Mark Lloyd Masterson. I'm your host, and I'm also the author of Years of the Dragon, a book I wrote about movie projects that Bruce might have pursued had he not passed away in 1973. On this episode, I was going to talk about what I've written in the book about my version of Game of Death, which would have been the first movie that would have been released after the success of End of the Dragon. I think it would have come out in 1974 since Bruce passed in 1973, and the movie was out in August of 1973. By the time he finished going, if he had gone back and finished Game of Death, I think it would have come out in 1974. Um, so as I mentioned in the last episode, Bruce had only finished some of the fight scenes with Dan Inosanto, his protege, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was a longtime pupil of Bruce's. He met while Kareem was at UCLA with the Bruins. And another martial artist that he had in that movie was Huan Jaiji. But he had envisioned 5 levels at that pagoda, defended by accomplished martial arts master, and of course him coming in wearing the yellow and black tracksuit. He represented a new breed of warrior, one that wasn't confined to any particular discipline. And as I said, Bruce had just written some of the fight scenes. He hadn't really had a real idea for the script. Okay. But I thought today we'll examine what my version of Game of Death would have been like. So I think it would have been probably would have been co-produced by Warner Brothers. Fred Weintraub, who was actually on the set of Game of Death when they were doing the fight scene. So he probably would have been involved, and he was also one of the producers, him and Paul Heller for End of the Dragon. But I think it would have been a co-production with Golden Harvest, with Raymond Chow. Um, I believe that Bruce probably would have written that script and directed that film as well. And again, in the future going forward, he probably would have staged or choreographed most of his fight scenes and I think all of his movies. But Bruce's concept was for 5 levels of the pagoda. And I think it would have been very cool to see student Taki Kimura challenge him on one of the levels, and maybe old foe Bob Wall, who was not a stranger to portraying villains in Bruce's movies. He could have been at another level of the pagoda. So in my version, the opening sequence would show the character who I named Hai Tien, which I believe was the name that Bruce had come up with for his character in his version of Game of Death. But his sister and her son get kidnapped at their place in a parking garage. And Bruce's character is an MMA style kind of fighter. He's at a tournament, he defeats his opponent, and then later he learns that his sister and nephew have been kidnapped. So he's forced actually to go to this pagoda in Korea and fight these opponents to get to free his sister and his nephew. But what he doesn't realize is that the whole time, all of this is being wagered on. And some very powerful people have placed cameras in that pagoda, and they're all betting on the outcome. So that's kind of my version in a nutshell. I go into much more detail in my book, Years of the Dragon. But you're going to have to buy it if you want to know more, and I hope that you do. So as always, if you like these episodes, and please subscribe, hit the like button, and also hit the bell if you want to be notified when I post again. Remember to go to Amazon, buy my book. It's available now. Search my name, Mark Lloyd Masterson, or Years of the Dragon, and you'll find it. And remember, everybody, be water, my friends.